Hello viewer, here we are upstairs at our current house and I'm just going to do a little bit of spring cleaning, early maintenance, and that's going to involve going up into the loft. What we're going to do is have a look at the VMC, the sort of air circulation unit, and make sure that it's not clogged up and that it's good to go. Insurers like doing a little bit of maintenance. They like it that we don't just let it clog up and catch fire. There we go. So we will just nip upstairs with a tool bag and make sure that everything is good. So here we are in the loft. As you can see, we have some spare rods of insulation. Always a good thing. All of the loft between the rafters fully insulated. And here you can see the same sort of A-frame structure which is common to these older properties. And we raised the crossbeam so you can see there's some new timbers in there to give us some extra structural integrity. So just very carefully sneaking along one of the ceiling joists, we want to get to that far end, to the thing that looks like a cyborg octopus. That is the VMC, and you can see the hoses going into it. Its job is to take the air out of any of the wet areas, so toilets, bathroom, shower, kitchen. It takes the air up, and as you can see, it all goes into the one fan, and then from the far side over there, there's a hose that would normally come out and go up into this roof vent, but I've taken that off for the moment just to check it out. I have switched it off at the fuse box, but I will check it just to be absolutely certain before I dismantle it. So I'm going to put you up on the tripod and you can watch. Here we go. Righty-ho. So let's just get first thing out and check. So it's all switched off. The fact that it's not running, and I can hear that it's not running, it's always best to check first as well. Check with the electrical tester. So you can see that the fan has got a bit of dust inside it, but nothing too terrible. That's quite acceptable, really. Obviously I should take this downstairs, hoover it out just to be absolutely certain, but because we don't stay here all the time, it doesn't get an awful lot of use. We do switch off an awful lot of the electrics in the times when we're not here. But that looks pretty good to me. Everything inside there is relatively dust-free. So I think we'll just put that back together again and leave it for another year. Okay. Right. Good to go for a bit. I'm going to go and get the hose, the exhaust hose, which comes off of the back and goes back up in there. I did take that off and clean it. Then I'll switch it back on, leave it for another year. That's just routine maintenance. Once a year is a good idea. Your insurers, if you have a French house and you've got one of these VMCs, the insurers wouldn't like it if you didn't maintain these things. But there we go. I'm going to disappear down the other end and go and switch it back on again. Oh, right, back again. I switched it on. I can hear it's running, but just to be absolutely sure, you can see little electrical tester says there is electricity. Hurrah! So I won't bother you with fitting that hose. I'll take you downstairs now and have a look at another less exciting task. One of the things about loft spaces is that it's difficult to keep the critters out. So if you look over there, you can see the inside stone skin and you can see the outside stone skin beyond it. So you can see just how thick the stone walls are. Up the top there you've got the ridge, and that's resting quite happily on a lot of stone. And over there you can see evidence of straw and stuff where critters have been trying to come in. And you can probably see in that bigger gap down the side there on the right, I've crammed in a lot of chicken wire to try and stop them coming in, but as you can see by the hay there, they managed to get in. And as proof that the little Tweety birds get in, here's one who didn't really last that long, but anyway. And this is the harsh reality of living in the French countryside with a septic tank. Periodically, once a week, you need to put a powder down the toilet that contains bugs, I suppose, that keeps the septic tank running. So here we go. So that powder allegedly has poo-eating bugs, I suppose. Goes into the septic tank, breaks down all the stuff that gets into the septic tank, and leaves you with inert water, which then just overflows into a soakaway. I'm going to pour another 10-litre bucket of water down there just to make sure it all gets flushed in. And as you can see on the left, some more of Joe's wallpaper that she printed. Anyway, that's another of the essential jobs for the day. On to the next one. Having put the Epicil in the toilet to rejuvenate our septic tank, it came this away, and you can see a rodding point there, which is on the pipe on the way from the toilet to the septic tank. Pipe goes under the ground there to, excuse the roosters across the road, and those two concrete lids are the concrete septic tank. As I said, it's got chambers in there where the bio bit happens and it eats up all the bad stuff and just leaves inert water, which goes, no, not to the chickens, over to here. There's a great big bac à sable soakaway underneath this piece here, and you've got an inspection chamber, or a pair of inspection chambers over there. And one of those chambers has a pump in it, which any excess overflow liquid, if we have a particularly busy bath night, overflow liquid will be pumped to a soakaway, which is underneath that stone. Well, it's actually a bit further than that, but anyway. So the whole thing is quite compact, and this sort of compactness is what we're going to hope for at the buffalo farm. Actually, whilst we're here, let's have a look at what I was mentioning about colombage. Although colombage can be found throughout France, it's quite prevalent in Normandy. These first two examples were from Dozelay, and here are a couple from Rennes. You can see how time has moved the timbers a little bit. You see this cellier, sort of shed, and you can see it's got the wood construction, and you've got these timber, let's go out a bit. You've got these timber diagonal braces, and you've got the uprights, and you've got the infill panel, which is lime plaster, and you've got a dwarf wall at the bottom which stops the timbers rotting because they aren't embedded in the earth. And even that one down there is actually resting on a stone, but you can see that the gravel is around it and letting the water get to it, so I'm going to have to scrape the gravel away from that. But if you imagine this colombage, that's what we're going to do around the back of the house where the bathroom is. So it'll have a normal breeze block wall inside, then it'll have insulation, and then it'll have this faux colombage. And I call it faux because it's not real colombage. The wood is real enough, the jointing is real enough, the dwarf wall is nice and stone with plaster putty, lime putty, but inside the panels are infilled with quite thin cinder block, breeze block, and lime putty. So lime putty is breathable, that gets the moisture in and out and all the rest of it. The wood gives it the strength, but those cinder blocks, they'll give it strength too. And that is in essence what we're going to do at the buffalo farm around the back. So it'll have an outside skin like that, then a layer of insulation, and then a proper breeze block wall inside on the concrete floor. That's the plan. Just thought you ought to see it. Okay, what's the next task? Let's have a look.